my mom recently gave me her Bible, which is cool. And what's kind of cool about it, it's like the Bible she had her whole life, so it was really special when she gave it to me. But so like I'll look in the margin, she's like written like what's important to her. She's underlined verses, that meant a lot, and that's really special to me. And what I also noticed is that my mom, she used to be an English teacher, so she has like this habit of like correcting people's grammar in the Bible. I mean, seriously, like you would just be reading through, she's like correcting misspellings and stuff. And like it'll be like a letter from Paul, and like she'll literally use like the double P. It'll be like new paragraph, Paul. That's a separate thought, Paul. And all I can think about is like poor Job. This guy's like the ultimate example of like unjust human suffering. And then like fast forward 2,000 years, and he still has like my mom needling him about his grammar. Mom's like, boils or no boils, dude, you gotta stop splitting the infinitive. It impedes what you're trying to say. Apparently you did bring this on yourself, Job. Apparently you did. You weren't afflicted with spell check, were you, Job? And literally, it'll get to the point like I'm not kidding you, in the Gospels where like Jesus is speaking, and Mom was like, a little too wordy. A little too wordy. And I kid you not, if you like flip to this is serious, if you flip to the back of the Bible, the very last page, my mom has literally written, please see me after class. Now, I'm a New Yorker, and I know you guys can identify with this. You're a New Yorker if you're ever sitting in church, and no matter how spiritual the moment is, like a pastor's like leading everybody in prayer, you still like look out the corner of your eye and make sure like no one's messing with your stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I always sit in church and everybody's like, yes, Lord, we lift that up, Lord. Lift that up, yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, Lord, we agree with you. Mm-hmm. I don't like the looks of that guy back there. Keep my eye on you, brother. I got my eye on you, brother. So I'm a little jealous nowadays with kids and like all their technology. Like isn't it amazing? Like when we grew up, we had like a TV, and that's like all we had. But like every like 9-year-olds nowadays, they got like an iPod, they got like cell phones, they've got like anything, like these little Game Boys that are unbelievable. But what I'm most jealous of is like the video equipment. Because nowadays you can make a movie about your kids. And you can edit it on like your Mac and do a soundtracks and voiceovers and whatever. I'm like, when I was a kid, like the only footage that exists of me before like the age of 12, it's like 9 seconds of like black and white, like Zapruder film. And it like catches fire at the end. That's like the only memories I have of my childhood on tape. And it's a lot like, have you ever seen that footage they have of Bigfoot when he's in the mountains, And he's like a guy like walking away like this. That's like the only footage of me as a kid. It's like me going to soccer practice. I'm like, people are like, is that Dwight? That's not him. This is a forgery. That's not Dwight at all. Some white guy with a Dwight mask. And I'll tell you, my favorite part of Bible study is, you ever in a Bible study, everybody's like reading a chapter and a verse, right? Everybody's like just taking it in. And then somebody just all of a sudden takes a verse like ridiculously out of context. Right? That's always my favorite part. What happens? Everybody's reading it real quietly. And it'll be like a letter from Paul to like a struggling church, right? It's like life and death, like the Christianity's brand new, whatever. And somebody's just like, this verse is obviously about dating in New York.
how hard it is to meet people. And how did Paul know it was going to be like that? So prophetic.
It's hard to be single, right? Especially in New York. It's like super hard to like be single here, and especially in church. You know, I don't know if you noticed, but like in church, it's really hard to meet people, and churches don't really know what to do with single people, right? All of church is geared toward like families and kids, you know, and like, oh, and once you get married, oh, you've made it. That's all you needed. Married. And you can tell this like when you look at a bulletin in church, like the pastor's going over the announcements for the week. Like when he's talking about the groups, you can see the difference. Fellowship will be meeting in the convocation hall, and they will be discussing enhancing your hospitality. Great. Oh, and our singles fellowship will be meeting Monday morning in the kitchen broom closet. And they will be discussing coping with your plight. So bring a friend and a side dish. It'll be great. Fantastic. You know, if you're single for a long time, though, people are always trying to encourage you. You know, like, just hang in there. You know, come on, you'll meet the right person. It's going to be great. You know, just hang in there. And then they'll sometimes, you ever get this? They'll whip out, like, an example from the Bible to, like, try to encourage you about being single. And I don't know if you ever heard this one before. Somebody will say, hey, you know, you're going to meet the right person. It'll be fine. Hey, remember, Paul was single. Mm-hmm. What they don't mention is that Paul spent most of his adult life in jail. So, and not long after that, he was beheaded. So there you go. It's not super encouraging. I used to go to a lot of like singles Bible studies and fellowships, and at the end, I used to love when they would like pray over you. You know, like the leader would come over and like he'd be praying for everybody in their relationship, and it would always go like, Lord, we just pray for Tom right now. We just know you're going to lead the right girl to him. You know, just we know the right girl's out there. You're going to lead her to him. You know, which the translation of that is, God, you're going to force someone to be with Tom. We just know it. Your spirit's just going to grab her by the back of the neck and bring her here.
I think it's cool in church, but before people get up and sing or dance or do whatever, they stop and they're like, you know, I want to give all the glory to God for this performance I'm about to give. You know, they're just like, God's giving me this gift. I just want to share it with you. And I think that's really cool and very humble when people do that. But like, that doesn't work for every art form. You know, like, I can't get up like do comedy and just be like, wait, before I start, I don't want to take any credit for this, people. I mean, this genius, I can't claim this as my own. There's obviously a higher power at work. So no clapping for me. In church, like a big thing we have is people share their testimony a lot, and that's pretty cool. That's like, you know, people get up just talk about how, you know, their spiritual life when they became a Christian, all this. And my pastor is always like, you know, hey, we'd love it if you shared your testimony. You know, I think people would love it. Why don't you do it? And my first thought is, no, you wouldn't, actually. Because it's really boring. I don't know, I'll probably be like some of you guys. Like, if I were to do my testimony, I'd be like, well, I grew up going to church, and then when I got a little older, kept going to church. And yeah, pretty much still going to church. It's been a good life. But I love that because there's always that one guy who gets up and he's got a testimony, and it's just like straight out of an action movie. You know what I mean? There'll be one guy who gets up and he's like, all right. So I just fell out of a drug running plane over Mexico. Didn't have a parachute, and I fell into like a pack of wild dogs or something. And then God was like, I will spare you if you follow me. And I was like, all right. But I think my favorite one. There's always like that. You guys remember? There's always like a nerdy guy in church, right? He like volunteered at the library, and he'll get up and share his testimony, and you're like, great, this is gonna suck. But then he gets up and he's got like the freakiest one of everybody. He'll get up. He'll get up and he's like, well, most of you don't know this, but I actually worked in hell for a period of time in the early 90s.
So I went to a church growing up where it wasn't Pentecostal, but it was kind of crazy. Like whenever music came on, like people would like dance and go nuts, like run up and down the aisle and stuff. And I don't know if you went to a church like this or not, but people would just go bananas, like when the music came on. And I always wondered, do you think there's like a limit to like what you could do in those situations? Because I used to sit there and think like, man, what if I got up and like to worship, like I just did the Shakira dance? You know what I mean? They're like, rejoice, rejoice. I'm like, rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. You know what I mean? Some guy's next to me like, dude, what are you doing over there? I'm like, I'm doing the Shakira dance, huh? Something like that, huh? You don't like that? What about this? Huh? How about that? These hips don't lie, my friend. Not when the Lord is involved.
I was at Dwayne Reed earlier today. It's always a good setup. I was in Dwayne Reed. Don't you love like the pharmacist guy in the back of the Dwayne Reed? And God bless this guy, because these people, they're obviously very smart people, right? I'm sure they had like 8 years of school. They're working on. They're like literally some people's like lives are in their hands back there. But you gotta love the fact that like every 5 minutes somebody comes back there and they're just like, hey, dude, you guys are out of toilet paper. On aisle 9. You have any more back there? Can you get some? Or there's the people that just treat him like a free doctor. These guys? They're like back there like 2 parts this, 1 part this, 2 parts this. And this guy's like, hey dude, I've got like a rash right here. Can you look at that? You know what? I don't have insurance. I'm counting on you, buddy. If you can ring up these Rice Krispies and check out my rash.